I was very stressed and not feeling good about myself. My knees ached when I walked. I avoided doing any kind of exercise. I didn't look at myself in the mirror. My diet was truly dreadful, and I was blaming everyone else for it. My energy levels were pretty low, and I often spent the day lying on the sofa under a blanket. I was depressed, on antidepressants, a type 2 diabetic, and more miserable than I can possibly describe. The bigger I got, the unhappier that made me, and the more I ate and drank to make me feel better. Hello, and welcome to the Trinity Fit Over 40 podcast with me, Rob Burkhead. I'm one of the co-founders of Trinity Transformation and co-creators of the Fit Over 40 method, and together with our world-class coaching team, we've helped more than 6,500 women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s to look and feel their best as they go through menopause. Transformation of the Year is our big annual awards that we run every single December. And we give away 30 awards in total, awards for community champions, most resilient members, members who've completed the most workouts, new rising stars inside of our program. We give away thousands of pounds worth of prizes to our members to encourage them every single year. But the most prestigious award of all that we give away every year is our Transformation of the Year award. And there's not just one winner. We are supposed to have 5 winners. But as always, it was so difficult. We had 32 phenomenal entries and I couldn't decide 5. So we ended up with 6 overall winners and 6 runners-up. These 6 ladies that I'm going to talk about today, all women in their 50s or 60s who have gone through a hell of a lot on their journey. It's not been plain sailing, but despite that, between them, they lost an average of 3¼ stone, and they did all of this going through different stages of menopause. So our first winner is a client called Alison. And Alison is 59 and works in an extremely busy, stressful job. Her job kind of defined her, and it led to her kind of being in a place where she was significantly heavier, as well as having children really contributed to that, and where she really didn't like anything at all when it came to exercise and didn't view herself as a fit or healthy person. And as you'll hear from her story, all of that has now changed over the past couple of years. So this is in Alison's words now. So Alison said, before starting Trinity, I was 15 stone and a size 18 to 20. The weight had crept on since the children. I could walk reasonable distances on the flat, but shied away from any challenges that involved hills or strenuous exercise. I was very stressed and not feeling good about myself. I would delete most photos of myself and spent a lot of time searching the internet for flattering sizes for larger ladies. People think I'm confident, but actually I'm just a very good actress. I've learned to project an air of confidence, but dreaded anything that would mean me standing beside slimmer women. The first 2 years with Trinity were relatively straightforward. Even when my dad died, I managed to stick to the program. In fact, some ways it helped having the structure. But 2024 has been a very different experience. Last Christmas, my brother-in-law was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I picked up a shoulder injury that has proved very difficult to shift. Work started to build to a high level of stress than I've ever seen before as well. I was going back and forward to Northern Ireland to support my family, but my brother-in-law Keith died at the August bank holiday, leaving my sister and her teenage children to manage a farm on their own. This year has felt overwhelming at times and hard to focus. However, I am now a size 12, having lost nearly 3 stone. I have a whole new wardrobe, and people still comment on how good I look. I feel better in myself and more confident with the feeling of strength and achievement. I have a new attitude to challenges, both physical and mental. This past year, my friends and I have finished the Southwest Coast Path, 630 miles of it, and there were some bits that I was reluctant to do in case I held people back. But now I can manage alongside some friends who do triathlons. I also walked through the Via Splurger Gorge, and I climbed up the side of a waterfall 170 meters high, despite being terrified of heights. What's more, I've dressed like an elf for Christmas. I never would have attempted that before. More likely to wear a Christmas pudding costume before. I've also entered national awards and won, and actually, I'm entering this, by which she means Transformation of the Year awards. And the last thing Alison said was, the transformation is not just physical. I know I can do whatever I set my mind to, and I know that neither my weight or my job defines me. What I can achieve is up to me. So I hope that's an inspiring one to start with. I found it so inspiring to hear this because really our purpose at Trinity is to help people feel empowered to take control of all areas of their life. That is our mission statement. That is our purpose. And we do that through the means of fitness, of weight loss, of coaching, of mindset work. We do all sorts of different things. And the fitness is just kind of the first piece of the puzzle. So Alison went from a size 18 to 20 to size 12. and she lost 3 stone. But it was much more about the things she's now able to do and that she's confident enough to do that I think are the most important thing, and one of the reasons she was picked. And she achieved all of that through a really, really tough year where her sister lost her partner, so her brother-in-law died to terminal cancer, and she had to do this with this shoulder injury that she had to work around the entire year. And working with her coach, Dave, he adapted everything so she could work through that. He coached her on her mindset to do things like that gorge hike when she's terrified of heights, and even climb the waterfall. And a really fundamental part of that, which was in the original testimonial, but I've just cut this down to keep it, to a reasonable length, was working one-to-one with a really experienced coach. Next up, we have our next winner, which is Jess. Now, Jess is 50. She turned 50 this year, and she's a consultant. She runs her own business effectively. So very, very busy again. She's got her own children as well. And I think, as she mentions in here, she's also divorced. So she's got a really, really tricky relationship with her ex-husband. He's a bully, really unpleasant a lot of the time. So she has to manage all of that as well. And there's a lot more you'll hear in her story. So Jess said, before starting Trinity in September 2023, I was lethargic 12 stone 30 pounds, knocking on the door of 13 stone, approaching my 50th birthday. And I was terrified if I didn't do something now, I never would. I had a series of poor health markers: poor liver function, lupus, high cholesterol, poor sleep, and to top it off, menopause symptoms had just kicked in, leaving me within an hour of sleep a night, up to 7 hot flushes an hour, high anxiety, and rage. I've been through 4 years of invasive investigations for my liver, including countless blood tests, an ultrasound, and a painful biopsy, but no one could tell me what was wrong. I was arguing a lot with my partner in front of the kids. My diet was truly dreadful, and I was blaming everyone else for it. I was also very sedentary. I rarely exercised, and the kids remind me now that when we went for family walks, I was out of breath and moaning within the first 20 minutes. All in all, I was making my family life miserable. I knew I wanted to lose weight, but I didn't know how to do it, having yo-yo dieted via conventional programs for 30 years. I couldn't have picked a worse time to start Trinity. My father-in-law was in and out of hospital, dying. I also have my own aging parents with a multitude of health problems. My one staff member was diagnosed with terminal cancer, forcing her to retire immediately and leave me all of her clients to deal with. The above turmoil coincided with my son's GCSEs too. The menopause journey has also been challenging, starting HRT the month after starting Trinity and developing painful breast cysts, which required surgery. I've also suffered 3 bouts of tonsillitis and knee injuries, which knocked my confidence. Plus, after training the full 10 weeks for the Scarfell hike in April, that was something we organised at Trinity, I suffered a back injury, which fortunately healed promptly, only to fall ill again, forcing me to pull out. I was beyond heartbroken. Stress is a huge factor in my life, and I'd only ever handled it via comfort eating. But now, everything has changed. For the better. Yes, I've dropped 2.5 stone and 2 dress sizes and can fit back into my size 12 clothes, but that's only part of it. My confidence has skyrocketed. I was avoiding everything, and now I'm doing everything. My mindset around food and nutrition has completely changed. I now take responsibility for my food, and I've learned to cook from scratch, having not really cooked at all in the past, and I'm enjoying it. I put my own needs first before others, and the ripple effect out to friends and family has been mind-blowing and truly humbling. I now walk every weekend, and sometimes the family can't keep up. They say I'm happier, less argumentative, and nicer to be around. I sleep better, and my relationship with my partner is vastly improved in every way. Winky smiley. You can read into that how you will. Plus, my liver function is back to normal. I stand in the front row at choir, and I'm happy to be seen, whereas before I was embarrassed of my size and felt awkward. I even performed at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year. This year I also travelled like never before, plus I did the Trinity retreat in Crete and kept up with the workouts. I had to silence my inner critic who tells me I'm the fattest, slowest and can't do this. I could, and it felt epic. So another phenomenal story there from Jess. And she did all of that despite so many obstacles, which is what Transformation of the Year really is all about. To show that it doesn't have to be a perfect journey, and it never will be. Every single one of our members has so many challenges. It's that time in life where people's parents are getting older or passing away. They've still potentially got children who need looking after. They're climbing up and up in their career, which means more stress, more responsibility, or they're running their own business like Jess. And on top of all of that, they've got menopause symptoms to deal with. And Jess had all of those. And yet she was still able to lose 2.5 stone in 2 dress sizes in the past year. And now she is so much fitter and healthier and keeping up, actually outrunning her family on these family walks every single weekend. Plus all her health markers have gone back to normal. So another phenomenal transformation from Jess. So I've still got 4 more to share with you. But if at this point you're listening to this and you think, I'd like what these ladies have had and the coaching they've got that's enabled them to achieve all of this. And I've had multiple messages when I've been distributing all the prizes, everyone saying, there's no way I would have done this without Trinity, which has been very humbling to hear. If you would like to find out more about what we do, then just head to www.fit40info.com and you can find all the details on that page. So that's the word fit, the number 40, the word info.com. And all of the details are there. So let's get into our next transformation. And this is another phenomenal one from Rachel. So Rachel is 53 and she's a lawyer. And now she lives in Wales, in South Wales, but she works in London as a lawyer. So she's got a lot on her plate. And as you'll hear in the story, there's actually a lot more on her plate than just that. But Rachel's been a member for quite a while. So you'll hear in this story how she has gone through a number of things that we have supported her through over the past 3 or so years. So Rachel said, in September 2021, before I joined Trinity, I was 50 years old and 104 kilos, 16 stone, 5 pounds. I was a size 18 to 20. With a BMI of over 35, I was obese and unhappy. I was also, frankly, desperate. It was getting to the point where I was too large to do the things I wanted to do. And whilst I haven't got the full story here, Rachel said one of the most embarrassing things that she couldn't do was on holiday with her daughters. They wanted to ride some horses on the beach, and she was told she was too big and too heavy. And that was obviously extremely humiliating to be told that in front of everyone. So she wasn't allowed to do it. She said, I thought there must be something wrong with me. I've tried so many diets, but I just couldn't stick to it. I tried exercising for a few weeks, but it never stuck. Name any diet, I would have tried it, lost a bit of weight, and then put it all back on again and more. I got to the point where I felt like it was all too late, and that I would just carry on getting fatter and fatter until it killed me. My knees ached when I walked. I avoided doing any kind of exercise. I didn't look at myself in the mirror. I don't have many photos of me then, as I avoided the camera if possible. I wore clothes that covered me up, and there were chocolate wrappers hidden in my car and elsewhere around the house as I comforted myself with sugar. It's been a slow process and sometimes hard. I hurt my back picking up a kettlebell early on, which took weeks to heal. I then broke my ankle and had 2 months of weight training with a big boot on. Work also got in the way. I learned to navigate taking clients to dinner, networking events, and traveling for work. And it's been like peeling back layers of self-sabotage. I learned to say no. I learned to use meditation on a daily basis to help me manage my stress and emotions. And then in January 2023, I went to the Trinity Kickstart weekend. And that weekend, I admitted to myself that my biggest stress and blocker to my goals was picking up the pieces of my alcoholic husband's actions. For the first time, I said it out loud. I came home brave enough to have the conversation. I gave him a year to sort himself out. He tried, but he couldn't. There were so many alcohol-related dramas that year, but I continued my diet and fitness regime with Trinity. The community of women all getting on with the same work was my constant companion. Without Trinity, I wouldn't have had the courage to make him leave in January 2024. It was tough, but I have no regrets. Through Trinity, I'm physically and mentally strong. I know it's a cliche, but Trinity has actually transformed my life. I've lost 30 kilos, 4 stone, 11 pounds, and 21 centimeters from around my waist. I joined to lose weight. What I didn't expect was for the rest of my life to change quite so much and for the better. I have a fitness regime that I love. I feel strong mentally and physically, and I have muscles. I'm the size and weight I was at 20 years old, and I'm going to stay there. I'm not on a diet. I've changed my lifestyle. My husband now lives down the road. Sometimes he's sober and sometimes he's not, but it's no longer my problem. My daughters are happy and safe with me. My work-life balance is better, and I'm much better at managing my stress levels. I've joined a tennis club. I wanted to do this for years, but I didn't have the social or physical confidence to do it. I now play 3 to 4 times a week and love it. I also climbed Scafell Pike with Trinity in April and went scuba diving in Egypt in the summer with no worries at all. I have a spring in my step, and the only aches and pains I have are DOMS related. That's muscle soreness, by the way, after a workout. I've done the work to get here, but Trinity gave me the tools. Now I look to the future with optimism and excitement as I head towards 54 in January. So again, what a story. Rachel had to combat so many things on that journey. Not only working in a really busy, stressful job as a lawyer with loads of work travel and loads of work events, but also managing her relationship with her alcoholic, now ex-husband, and overcoming things like emotional eating, which were strongly linked to that as well. And I remember having that conversation at the January Kickstart weekend. I had a one-to-one with Rachel when we were walking around the hotel grounds, and she was telling me at the end of the year, I'm going to see if he can sort himself out. And if he doesn't, I'm giving him an ultimatum. And a lot of people say these things, but without the accountability and the support of the group, which he then committed to in front of everyone, I'm not sure it would have happened. So Rachel was really brave to do that, to commit to that and tell everyone and share at this small event, I should say. It's not to everyone online in our community. You don't need to do that. But Rachel decided to do that. And now her life is completely different. So she's nearly 5 stone down, loving different types of exercise, which she's never loved before. The same weight she was when she was 20 years old, and looking phenomenal for it. So next up, we have another Rachel. So this Rachel is 52, so a tiny bit older than the previous Rachel. And again, she had a really tricky, complicated journey. So Rachel said, before starting Trinity, I weighed 14.5 stone or 92 kilos, which was my heaviest ever. I knew I was very overweight, and actually I was obese. I was squeezing into size 16 clothes and facing the prospect of buying bigger ones. I felt very big and unattractive. I've battled depression for most of my adult life, and in autumn 2023, I had a major episode of depression and anxiety, which was due to a mixture of things: a stressful job, perimenopause, and my youngest daughter starting at university, the classic empty nest. I turned to food to make myself feel better, devouring huge bags of chocolate. My energy levels were pretty low, and I often spent the day lying on the sofa under a blanket. In March 2024, I had Rhineck, which was extremely debilitating, and I ended up in A&E. Whilst there, they took my blood pressure and said that it was very high. I felt sad, incapacitated, fat, and unhealthy, and ashamed. I decided in April that I could not go on this way, so I signed up to Trinity. Depression caused me to have low energy and to seek comfort in chocolate and unhealthy foods. On top of that, due to building work, I had to move out of my normal exercise space and had a tiny area to train in, and builders interrupting me. It would have been easy to use this as a reason not to exercise, but I continued with my workouts throughout this time. I have a bad back with compromised discs in my lower back and a torn disc. I have problems with my sarcoiliac joint and my neck. Sometimes I have sciatica too. In the past, I probably would have stopped exercising completely and lay on the sofa. However, I have now lost 3 stone and 40 inches since April this year. I've gone from a size 16 to a size 12, and sometimes even a size 10 now. I've bought dresses in size 12 for my summer holiday, and I've also bought and worn bikinis, and I've not bought or worn bikinis for years. I felt feminine and I felt confident. I had fun going through my wardrobe and rediscovering beautiful clothes that I've not been able to fit into for several years now, but now I can. I've just bought size 10 jeans which fit, and the leggings I wore when I started Trinity hang off me now. Last New Year, I squeezed into my favourite posh dress for the evening celebrations. Now this dress fits really nicely, and I'll wear it this year with confidence. What's more, my blood pressure in March was around 150 over 120. After a few months with Trinity, my blood pressure went down to 116 over 74. I'm also now lifting 24 kilos when I do deadlifts. I can do kettlebell swings with 18 kilos, and I can now do 10 full press-ups. I feel so much more confident now, and I'm a strong and fit person. So again, what an amazing story. Rachel, someone who struggled with depression her whole life, who had major episodes last year, and a very stressful job, and going through perimenopause, and having a daughter leaving. Despite all of that, she was able to come back, and now is now over 3 stone down, and gone from a size 16 to a 12 or a 10 in many items as well now. These things can make it difficult. They will make it a little bit more challenging, but there's nothing we can't work with. And it's very common to have challenges like depression, anxiety around menopause. And it's very common for a lot of our clients who have struggled with their weight to have battled with depression a lot of their life. It's also very common to have to overcome things like injuries. So Rachel had a bad back, compromised discs, torn disc, and we can adapt everything to work around that. And that's exactly what we did. So she didn't have to stop. She could keep going. And now she's wearing bikinis, she's enjoying getting back into all her favorite clothes and doing things like 10 full push-ups, which is phenomenal. And all of this is literally in the last 9 months. So some of these stories I'm sharing with you today have happened over a little bit of a longer period, and we want to celebrate the tenacity for people to achieve that. But some of them happen pretty quickly as well. So Rachel lost 3 stone in the last 9 months. On to our next transformation. So our next one is from Rebecca, who's 51. Now, Rebecca said before, if I'm honest, I was at rock bottom. I was a size 22 to 24 and weighed 94.35 kilos. I've struggled with my weight since my early 20s due to problems conceiving and taking lots of different hormones that never worked. I'd spent many years doing various diets of different severities. I was depressed, on antidepressants, a type 2 diabetic, and more miserable than I can possibly describe. I have a sweet tooth and a mind that is incredibly determined when it's focused on the wrong things. I've always struggled with exercise and loathe it because I just don't have the stamina, and I've been like this since puberty. I then had to have an emergency hysterectomy, which threw me into the menopause. Due to my condition, I couldn't take HRT, and there's not enough words to describe this torture. I was at the point where I was unbearably miserable, and that's when I came across an advert for Trinity. I couldn't have started at a worse time personally for me, although I do believe it saved me. The challenges I faced in the years before I started this plan were redundancy, a nasty divorce, including losing my house, losing my job and another redundancy, losing my home again and downsizing to a bedsit, and my dog dying after 14 years. I have been stuck with the same mindset for 30 odd years. My mind is my enemy as well as my friend, and I have huge challenges overcoming my self-talk. I've struggled not to fall into the why me cycle. I don't always manage to avoid it, but I try to. But now everything has changed. This program has literally changed my life. I've lost 16 kilos and 21 inches all over, dropping from a dress size 22 to 24 to a size 14. I look younger and feel so much better. I can walk upstairs, I don't avoid clothes or shops from sheer humiliation, and I now have a new zest for life. Aside from the weight loss and physical transformation, which is huge, it's helped me so much on my journey through life. I've been through a huge amount in the last few years, and if I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure I'd still be here if it wasn't for this program. My confidence and health is so much better. I've successfully come off all medication for my weight, and I'm no longer diabetic. I've come off all my antidepressants. Despite being dumped, downsizing, and losing my job, I have not crumbled. I have deeply ingrained habits, behaviors, and thoughts. I've spent a lot of time improving myself throughout my life, and Trinity has really helped me with this. The tools I have access to have helped me to control this, and I also now love weight training. So what an incredible story. This literally had people in tears on our awards night the other night, and for good reason. Rebecca had pretty much lost everything: her relationship, her house, her dog, her job, and she's battled with this negative, I can't do it, I'm not good enough mindset for the last 30 years. And this is why one of the core principles of what we do is working with people's mindset. The reason we're called Trinity is we help people with exercise, nutrition, and mindset. But really, it's a lot of the time about nailing that mindset, and everything else comes to fruition. So this is much more than just about the weight loss. Of course, she went from a size 22 to 24 to a size 14 and does look years, decades actually younger. She can now walk up the stairs without getting out of breath. She has this new zest for life. But I think the most important thing is she's come off all of her medications, both for her weight and for her mental health. Despite going through all of those things, she's come out the other side fighting and feeling positive for the future. So phenomenal work from Rebecca. Now, last but not least, we have one more transformation. The final one is a client called Sally. Sally's now 66 and she's a freelance copy editor. So she runs her own small copy editing business. And the phenomenal thing, just before I get into her story, is Sally came on our first ever retreat in 2017 when we were a tiny company. Myself and Ben did all of the cooking, all of the cleaning. We even made her bed. And it wasn't the luxury retreats that we would now run. And it wasn't the slick service that we now offer. But hopefully Sally saw something in us then, because she was with us for a couple of years then. She then went through a lot that you'll hear about in this story. And then she rejoined us a couple of years ago, and you'll hear the phenomenal changes she's gone on to make. So Sally said, before Trinity, I was fat, frumpy, miserable, and depressed. I was 104 kilos, 16 stone 5 pounds, and a size 20. I was really unfit. I couldn't walk upstairs without getting out of breath. I was doing very little exercise. It made me feel awful, so I avoided anything that involved any effort. If friends were going on hikes or having pool parties, I'd come up with an excuse so I didn't have to go. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and was pre-diabetic. The bigger I got, the unhappier that made me, and the more I ate and drank to make me feel better. I put a brave face on it, but inside I hated myself and I could barely stand to look in the mirror. Partway through my Trinity journey, my husband became very ill and was in hospital for a long time learning how to walk again. I really don't think the old me could have got through that, but the support and encouragement of the Trinity coaches was invaluable and really appreciated. I also lost both my grandmother and my mother within 6 months. And I really do feel like being part of the Trinity community helped me deal with the grief without relapsing into comfort eating. Trinity helped me realize that I am worth the effort, that it was time to put myself first after years of looking after other people more than me. I'm a people pleaser, and that's a hard habit to break. I've learned through Trinity to prioritize my fitness first, and then miraculously, everything else still seems to get done. It's been a real transformation, not only in how I look, but how I feel, how I think about myself, and in my health too. I've lost 29 kilos, 4 stone 8 pounds, and I'm now 75 kilos. I've lost 4 dress sizes and now wear a size 12. More important than the weight loss itself, my health has vastly improved. I'm no longer pre-diabetic, and my blood pressure and cholesterol are at normal levels. I'm fitter and more flexible than I've been since I was in my 20s, and I no longer get out of breath walking upstairs. I'm stronger too. I can carry log for the wood burners, haul around sheets of plasterboard for the renovation we're doing, and lift more weight than I ever thought possible. I go on regular walks in the countryside with my husband. I can get down on the floor to play with my grandchildren and get back up again. And last summer, I was proud to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle without worrying about what everyone was thinking. I'm unrecognizable from the person I was before. I'm much more confident. I like what I see in the mirror. And for the first time in a long time, I can really say I'm happy. So what a phenomenal one to end on. Sally achieved all of that despite having to care for a husband who was so ill, he lost the ability to speak and walk for a long period of time. Whilst renovating an old house in France, so her and her husband decided to move to France, and they now live near the Dordogne area and renovating a period property there and running her own copy business. And she did all of this in her mid-60s, going from a size 20 to now a size 12. But more importantly, becoming this person who is super strong and fit in her 60s and a real inspiration to many of our other members. So I hope you found today's episode inspiring. Hearing the stories of just 6 of our members, as I said, we had 32 entries like this, and it was really difficult to pick because they were all phenomenal. But I hope this helps to see that what we do at Trinity and what's possible in your 50s and 60s like these clients is way beyond most people's expectations and what they realize is possible. You can get that zest for life back. You can come off medication. You can lose the weight and fit back into your clothes and feel phenomenal, but also be able to do all the things you want to physically. We've done it with so many people. We've done it time and time again. And if you are interested in doing that too, we'd love to help. If you do want to do that, or you just want to find out more details, all you need to do is go to www.fit40info.com and you can find all the details on that page. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a phenomenal Christmas and I wish you a happy new year. And we'll catch you again after Christmas for some podcasts on how to tackle the new year and succeed in the new year. So we'll see you then. Have a fantastic festive period and we'll catch you in the next one.